Hello, welcome to Pauper Guru with your host, Matthew Summer. Today we have another deck tech. We have Mono Blue Artifacts. The commander of this deck is Renowed Weaponsmith. You can tap him for 2 colorless mana, but you can only use the mana to cast artifact spells or activate artifact abilities. He also has a secondary effect of paying a blue and tapping him to search your deck for 1 or 2 cards. Heart Piercer Bow or Vial of Dragonfire, reveal them and put them in your hand. I did not put the cards that he tutored in this deck because I tried. They just did not serve a purpose to this deck and the way it plays. We're going to start off with the artifacts of this deck. Keep this in mind, with the commander on board, all your artifacts basically cost 2 less mana to cast. So, that being stated, plus there's a lot of ways to reduce the cost of the artifacts on top of that. Like the first one, for example, Ethereum Sculptor. All your artifacts cost 1 less to play. So with him on board and your commander, all your artifacts cost 3 less to play. So any artifact with 3 mana cost or less, basically is free to cast. Now let's begin with the artifacts. Witching Well enters the battlefield and scries 2. You can pay 4 and sacrifice it to draw 2 cards. Nirok Replica. It's a 1/3. You may pay 2 and sacrifice it to return target creature to its owner's hand. Spire Golem is a 2/4 with flying. It has affinity for islands. If you have 6 islands on the battlefield, this costs 0 to play. Or if you have 4 islands and your commander on board, only costs 2 to cast. Golem Foundry. Every time an artifact enters the battlefield under your control, put a counter on this, remove 3 counters, create a 3/3 Golem. Razor-Filled Rhino has Metalcraft. Metalcraft is an ability if you have 3 or more artifacts, the Metalcraft ability will trigger. He starts off as a 4/4 for 6, but if you have Metalcraft, he becomes a 6/6 for 6. Snap Cell Glider is a 2/2 Metalcraft. If Metalcraft is triggered, he has flying. Gearsmith Guardian is a 3/5, but if you control a blue creature, he gets +2/+0. Flint Greed Crawler is a 2/2 for 4. That whenever he dies, he replaces himself with a 1/1 Flying Thopter. Fairy Machinist when it enters the battlefield, look at top 3 cards of your deck. Put an artifact card from among them into your hand, the rest on bottom. Mirror Enforcer and Frogmite have affinity for artifacts. Affinity is an ability where they cost 1 less for each artifact you control. If you have 4 artifacts, Frogmite is free to cast. If you have 7, Mirror Enforcer is free to cast. Rustic Relic is a 4-drop artifact. If you have Metalcraft, it becomes a 5/5 artifact creature. I apologize. Sorry. Watchful Automaton. You can pay 3 mana to scry the top card of your deck. Tumbling Magnet enters the battlefield with 3 counters. You may remove a counter and tap it to tap target creature or artifact. Renegade's Map, Traveler's Amulet, and Wanderer's Twig all does the same thing. Searches your deck for basic lands. Silvermere taps for blue mana. Hedron Crawler taps for colorless mana. They each cost 2. And Guardian Idol comes into play, tap for 2 mana and taps for 1 colorless. Or you can pay 2 to make it into a 2/2 creature until end of turn. Sparring Construct is a 1/1 for 1 that when it dies, you put a 1/1 counter on target creature you control. Glassblower's Puzzle Knot for 2 mana enters the battlefield, scries 2, gives you 2 energy counters. You may pay 3 and sacrifice it to scry 2 and get 2 more energy counters. As a disclaimer, the energy counters in this deck will not be valid to any other card because there is no other card that require energy counters to be used in this deck. Crashing Drawbridge is a 0/4 for 2. You can tap it and give all your creatures haste until end of turn. Executioner's Hood is 2 mana to cast, 2 to equip. Equipped a creature has Intimidate. Inventor's Goggles. It's a 1 mana to cast, 2 to equip, but if you control an artificer when it enters the battlefield and equips for free, the commander is an artificer, so it would equip and make it into a 2/5. Prometheal Spear enters the battlefield, draws a card. You may pay 1 to change up mana for that, paying 1. Artillery Spear, 2 to play, 2 to sacrifice. Search your deck for 2 basic lands, put them into your hand. Terranium, enter battlefield tap, but you may pay 2 and tap and sacrifice to add 2 mana of any combination to your mana pool, and you draw a card when it goes to the graveyard. I apologize for the cats. Guild Globe, enters the battlefield, you draw a card. You may pay 2 and tap and sacrifice to add 2 mana to your mana pool. Alchemist Vial, enter for 2 mana, enter battlefield, draw a card, pay 1 and tap and sacrifice it. Target creature can attack or block this turn. Ichor Wellspring, whenever it enters the battlefield or leaves, you draw a card for 2 mana. Pendulum of Patterns, enter the battlefield, you gain 3 life. You may pay 5 and tap and sacrifice it to draw a card. Orzica Relic, it taps for 1 colorless mana for 3, or you can tap and sacrifice it if you have the Ascendant, have the City's Blessing, which that means if you have 10 or more permanents, you can tap, sacrifice it, gain 3 life, and draw a card. Fountain of Ichor, it taps 3 mana, taps to add 1 mana of any color. You can pay 3 to turn it into a 3/3 until end of turn. Manolith, taps for 1 mana of any color. Mana Geode, enters the battlefield, you scry 1, it taps 1 mana of any color. Seer's Lantern, for 3 mana, taps for colorless mana, or you can tap 2 and tap it to scry 1. Now on to the removal of the draw of the deck. Fates Foretold, enchanted creature. Whenever Fates Foretold enters the battlefield, you draw a card. Whenever enchanted creature dies, you draw a card. Merfolk Looter, tap it, draw a card, discard a card. Seeker of the Insight, you can tap it to draw a card, discard a card, but you can only activate this ability if you cast a non-creature spell this turn. Erratic Visionary, you may pay 2 and tap and sacrifice it. No, tap it to draw a card and then discard a card. Tezzeret's Ambition, draw 3 cards. If you control no artifacts, discard a card. So for 5 mana, draw 3 cards. Thoughtcast has affinity for artifacts. It's normally 5 mana, but if you have 4 artifacts on board, it only costs you 1 blue to draw 2 cards. Think Twice, and Radical Idea is a 2 mana draw a card. Radical Idea has Jumpstart. You discard a card from your hand, exile it, and pay the mana cost to trigger it again. And Think Twice has a flashback cost of 3 to pay the 3 mana and exile it to draw another card. Deep Analysis, 4 mana, target player draws 2 cards. You may pay 2 mana and pay 3 life to flashback it from your graveyard. Now on to the removal of the deck. Kezar's Transmutation and Ignophobia is the same card. It turns a creature into a 1/1. It loses all of its abilities. 1's a 0/1, 1's a 1/1. My bad. And Essence Scatter, counter target creature spell. Stonic Rebuke. It has Metalcraft. It costs 1 less to cast if you have 3 more artifacts. And it's 2 mana counter target spell. And Into Thin Air. It has affinity for artifacts. And it costs what? It will return target creature to its owner's hand for 1 blue mana and 5 artifacts on board. Now on to the rest. Now on to the Metalcraft or Metalcraft-like creatures in the deck. Okay. Gearseeker Serpent costs 1 less to cast for each artifact you control. You may pay 6 to make it unblockable this turn. So it goes from 7 mana down to 2 blue mana to cast. Lumagrid Drake enters the battlefield and returns a creature to its owner's hand. If you have Metalcraft triggered, Screeching Cycrawl, If Metalcraft trigger whenever it does combat damage to a player, that player mills the top 4 cards of their deck. Now on to ways to protect my creatures from target removal. Starlit Mantle. It's an enchantment with flash for 2 mana. Enchanted creature gains hexproof until end of turn. Enchanted creature gets +1/+1. And Mizium Skin. Target creature gets +0/+1. Has hexproof until end of turn. And you can overload it for 2 mana to give all your creatures hexproof. Now on to the miscellaneous cards that don't really have a category, but really do support the deck. Aviator Pioneer. It's a 1/2 for 3 that enters the battlefield and gives me a 1/1 Flying Thopter. Ulamog's Crusher, Eldrazi Devastator, and Kozilek's Pathfinder are really big creatures to finish off the game. Kozilek's Pathfinder, you may pay 1 colorless mana to have him become unblockable until end of turn. Scare Tiller, whenever it becomes tapped, you get to put a land card from your hand on the battlefield or from the graveyard onto the battlefield. Artificer's Assistant, whenever you cast an artifact spell, you get to scry 1. Trinket Mage, search your deck for any artifact or mana cost 1 or less and put it into your hand. And Cultivator Drone is 3 mana for a 2/3 that taps to add 1 colorless mana to your mana pool, but you can only use that mana to cast colorless spells or activate colorless abilities. But since 95% of this deck is artifacts, that's really not a big problem for this deck. Now on to the mana bases. We have "29 Islands", Sylvanic's Temple, which enters battlefield tapped, but you can tap sacrifice it for 2 blue mana. Skyline Cascade enters battlefield tapped, but you get to tap target creature doesn't get to untap your controller's next untap step, and you get to tap it for 1 blue mana. And the 3 Urza lands. Urza's Power Mine, Urza's Tower, and Urza's Mine. I hope y'all like the deck. I hope y'all like, share, and subscribe. This is probably one of my favorite decks to run. The actual way that this deck wins after casting out a lot of artifacts is playing cards like Golem Foundry, allowing you to cast multiple artifact creatures throughout the game, and overwhelming your opponent with 3/3s is the easiest strategy to the deck. Okay, y'all. Everyone have a nice day. And like I said before, please like, share, and subscribe. And everyone, please be safe out there.